Okay, so we have this example problem from the homework, and it tells you in the homework, I want to show you how they got to that step. In your homework, it says that they want you to subtract 3v on both sides to get all the terms to one side. But I want to show you how they got there. So when you're solving an equation, the goal is to get all of the letters on one side of the equal sign, and then you want just regular numbers on the other side. So what I like to do when I'm solving an equation is split it into two sides, because you're going to hear me say that quite a bit. I want to split it into two different sides. So we want all of those v's on one side, and we want all of the regular numbers, which are called constants, on the other. So to do that, their first step that they did, how they got 3v, was they took and they distributed this 1/5 to both of the terms on the inside of the parentheses. Whenever you're solving any kind of an equation, the first thing you want to do is break up those parentheses because they're no help to you. So whenever you distribute, one thing that will definitely help is to make sure that whenever you're doing this little motion like I did, that means you're multiplying. So what we're really doing here is doing 1/5 times 15v, and we're also doing subtracted by, oops, we're going to be subtracting that by 1/5 times 10. Okay, so we'll start with the 1/5 times 15v, and that's the same thing. If you're ever multiplying with a fraction, what I tell my students to help them is you're technically doing the two top numbers, so the numerator times the numerator, and the denominator times the denominator. 1 times 15 would be 15, and then 1 times 5 is 5. So if you look on your problem, they ended up with 3v, and that's because 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that's how they got the 3v. Then we can bring down our subtraction, and then they did 1/5 times 10, which is the same thing as saying what is 1/5 of 10. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. I'll do the same thing on this side. So 1 times 10 is 10. 5 times 1 is 5. 10 divided by 5 would be 2. And this is where your problem kind of starts. They did the first part for you. So this is how they got the 3v minus 2. I just wanted to make sure I showed you that. Then I'm just going to bring down all the other stuff. So that 8v plus 8. I'm going to move it over here. Okay, so this is the point where your problem actually begins. So I'm going to draw a line. All right, so what they told you to do was subtract v from both sides. If I can pick the right color. They told you to subtract v from both sides to get all of the v's to the same side of the equation, which is kind of like what I said at the beginning. That's definitely what you want to do. I like that they chose to subtract 3v, because by doing so, you're going to be taking a smaller number from a bigger number, which is way better. You could have done subtract 8v on both sides, but if you did that, you'd end up with a negative, and we want to try to avoid negatives as we can. All right, by moving these 3v's over there by subtracting, and they chose to subtract because this is a positive 3v. So what happens is they're just going to cancel out, which is what you want, because now on this left side of the problem, all you have is a negative 2, which is good. On the other side, 8v minus 3v would be 5v, and then plus 8. And to make this look a little nicer, this is something I tell my students to do. I like to write it so that it just looks a little bit better this way. You've got all your heavy stuff on one side. Okay, so now what you want to do, if you're looking at your problem, you want the letter V to be all by itself. That's the goal from start to finish, is to get one V or one letter on one side and all of your other numbers on the other. So if you're looking at it now, before you can remove the 5V, you got to get rid of this bad boy right here, this 8. Right now it says plus 8, and when you're solving equations, it's a whole lot of doing the opposite. So the opposite of adding 8 would be subtracting 8, and I'll do it on both sides. What you do to one side of a problem, you always have to do to the other side as well. So these will cancel because a positive 8 subtracted by an 8 is 0. It cancels. So you get 5v equals. All right, and so now on this side right here, we're doing negative 2 minus 8. So that's negative 2 minus 8. I'm not sure exactly how they teach you guys to do subtracting with negatives, but we always did what was called keep change, change. So I would change that minus to a plus and then change that to a negative, which would then in turn make that into a negative 10. I'm going to go and erase this because it's just kind of in my way now. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, so now you're to kind of the you're kind of to the end of your problem. So if you go ahead and look, you still don't have V quite by itself. It's stuck with that 5. So when you have a letter and a number that are stuck together, they stuck like glue, like Elvis said one time, that means they're multiplying. So you'd have to do the opposite to get rid of it. So the opposite of doing times 5 would be to divide by 5. So I'll divide by 5 on both. That cancels that side out, so you're left with V equals. And then negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. This is kind of a tough problem to start with, I'm going to be honest with you, because there's so much foundation that goes with it. But if you want, what I can do is start with some little baby problems and kind of work you up to this with some guided examples. But if you need anything else, I'm right here. I got you.